There's no harm to it at all. 6 generations apparently the cats can cope with. Ooh. Now, what he's doing, the male there, is phlegm grimacing, of course, which many of you have heard of. Is this alright, Andre? We're just making such a horrible noise that I thought we should stop. And he's testing the urine to see if any of these females are ready to mate. Now, look on his right shoulder there. That's a cub. That's a cub shouting, everyone, at the kill. He's not very happy, is he, Gendre? Indeed, he could be considered cross. That was a little cub, very angry. And there's a little breeze. Sorry, I was rudely interrupted there, of course, by the sound of a crested francolin. Billy Joe, you want to know if there's a vulture that's large enough to pick up one of these cubs? Billy Joe, there isn't. The leopard-faced vulture is an enormous vulture, but the white-backed is not too small, both of which have been recorded killing their own prey. If they found a vulture on its, at least a cub on its own, they might think about killing it and then eating it, but they wouldn't be able to pick it up, because leopard-faced and white-backed and all the vultures don't have grasping talons. They don't have anything like the musculature that a leopard, or not a leopard, that an eagle has in its tarsals, and so they're unable to grab in the same way that an eagle can. That's quite nice there. I know this might bug you slightly. I'm just trying out a new camera to see if it'll work for various purposes that we have, but it does have a very loud shutter noise. Sounds like a crested francolin calling. So I apologize in advance. Won't be forever. Do you hear that, Gendre?
The shutter.
The shutter, yes.
I think if you try the viewfinder.
Oh, you think so? Ah, what a nice question from somebody called Dark Lord Chinchin. Dark Lord Chinchin, you sound quite like a terrifying human being. You say, why is it that lions don't just mate every day? There's some trouble brewing here, everybody. Watch this. Why do they wait to smell urine? Or in the case of what's going on now, the back end of the male. Dark Lord Chinchin, it's largely because it's actually quite a complicated discussion to have, but let's have it because I quite like it. Most mammals, Dark Lord Chinchin, unlike us, have what we call an obvious estrus. So they don't mate unless the females are in estrus. And in estrus means in heat, basically they're ready to mate, they're about to ovulate, and they can conceive when they mate. So if you think of dogs and cats, if you think of any of the antelope species that we get out here, elephants, they all give a sign to the males when they're ready to mate. That then inflames the males and they will then mate. It's very unusual that you have what we call concealed estrus. And the most obvious species that has concealed estrus, Gendre, is the human being, correct. Human beings have got concealed estrus, and the reason we think that has happened in the evolutionary history of our species, and indeed of a few different primates, chimpanzees and bonobos being notable examples, is that by hiding estrus, you keep a male close by. So let's take us back to the cavemen, if you like. A woman that hides her estrus period means that the male never knows when he is going to be able to impregnate her. And what that means is that you keep him around and he doesn't mate and just disappear. So in many of these species, like lions for example, the male plays very little role in actual child rearing or support of the females. And so they have this hidden estrus period. Or not hidden estrus, they have a very obvious estrus period. Sorry, Jandra, that's going to burn my face off. If you don't mind, we can carry on back to the lions. And so in a long and roundabout way, Dark Lord Chin Chin, the reason they don't have hidden estrus is because it's set up like that, and they don't need to keep the male around for child rearing purposes. The closer you get to the primates, the less that happens. And basically all of this has got to do with avoiding infanticide. But that's a very long discussion. The cubs are now back at the kill, so I think we're going to move straight back there, if that's all right with everybody. All right, while we do that, Jamie's got some more elephants, so we'll try and reverse and not make too much noise. Go and have a look at the elephants.
All right, little girl. Well, there we go. We're busy talking about elephants charging us and whether we've ever been in a situation where an elephant isn't happy with our presence, particularly a female. And it is the females that you really need to watch out for, because they are the one that they are the most protective over their herd. In that case, a female gave us a little head shake there before moving off to join the rest of the herd, and it's just telling us to behave ourselves. Sorry everybody, there's so much going on at the moment on the Game Drive comms. I just want to chat to Tax. Okay, copy. Is that Shadow?
Positive.
Okay, copy. Any sign of the daughter?
So far, my first.
Copy, thanks, Tax. I'll make my way there in a moment. I'm going to go wait by that bumper.
Yeah, she's going west.
She's going west. Sorry, everybody. I mean, our elephants are absolutely lovely, but we've apparently arrived in Leopard Corner of Djuma. I hear them. Okay. There's too much going on. I don't know what to do. I can hear mating leopards, and I know that Karula's on her way back with the cubs. Let's go to the mating leopard. Oh, goodness, there's so much choice here. I don't know what to do. And we've got elephants, of course, which are my absolute favorite to spend time with. But there's a good chance, because we're so close to our boundary, that the mating leopard... Okay, let's go. I can't stand it. I can hear them.
Tingana also here.
Copy. I've got that audio. I'm going to make my way and join you. Oh, too much. I can't decide what to do. Tingana and Shadow are mating about 50 meters away from where we are. Karula is on her way back with her cubs. But what we're going to do is we're going to duck out of the sighting completely for now, because it is on a main road. There's going to be lots of people keen to see her, and we'll come back and rejoin the kill when they get there. So let's go across to Shadow and Tingana for now, and then we'll go back. There's just too much. Too much. We're spoiled. So while I go and track down Taxon and his mating leopards, let's jump on board with James.
It really is quite astounding, isn't it? Shadow and Tingana and Karula and all these lions, what an amazing morning we are having. And again, of course, the inevitable discussions about Shadow and her, seemingly early estrus tie in quite nicely with what we were saying about the hidden estrus and the lack of hidden estrus amongst the cats. She is not mating for the sake of it. She is mating because she's come into estrus. She's had a very obvious hormonal change, and that has created a situation where she will ovulate if she mates. They don't ovulate before they mate, the lions and the leopards. It normally takes that very long process of mating for them to ovulate, and often they come into a sort of false estrus for a little while first, and then they go out of it, they mate a bit, and then they come back in. That certainly happened with Karula recently, and what's interesting with Shadow, I think, just listen to that. Here comes another female. What's interesting with Shadow is that she had that little fake estrus to start with. She has mated, she left Tingana, it's happening again now. We got to hope that for Zara's sake, that's her little cub, she holds off one more month, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, she's 7 months old this month. Of course today, yes, actually exactly today, Karula's cubs are 8 months old. And in theory, sorry, who's older? I've forgotten who's older. February to March, April, May, June, July, August, September. 7 months. And Shadow's cub is 1 month younger, so she will only be 6 months now. That makes sense. So the young Karula cubs are now 7 months old, and Shadow's cub will be, well, we can say that she's 6 months old now. So she needs another 2 months before she could possibly go independent. These things are screaming at each other, but we don't have a view, really, I'm afraid. They're having a huge fight. Hello, E.B. Murphy. I'm assuming you're meaning within a coalition. You say, is there any rhyme or reason as to who moves between which territory and who, who stays with which pride? No, there isn't, I don't think. I think you'll find there's quite a lot of variation between who does what and when and how. You might find as they get more established, there's a slightly more stratified role, if you like. Certainly happened with the Matimbas. They were a coalition of 4, and eventually they split, and the 2 came down. Ooh, that's vicious. Isn't that blood curdling? See, the cubs retreated when that happened. Now coming back, covered in mud and blood. Now I wonder if the cubs fighting hasn't precipitated that. Just like a human woman with a young child or a young family can get very ratty because their kids are fighting and messing around while they're trying to get on with serious business. So I think it is with the lions. Those cubs were starting to get very out of hand, fighting with each other, biting at their mothers. And eventually I think that boiled over. And as far as I'm aware, what we have behind us is the male and amber eyes. And he's definitely keeping a very sharp eye on her. He obviously sensed something further in the urine that he found to smell. Glad we don't have to do that in the morning. But if you're a lion, that's your lot in life. And Yes, you have to wander around smelling patches of urine. Okay, so let's go back to that discussion on whether or not their roles will change and stratify. Well, they will, absolutely, over a little bit of time, but the best example is the Majingalan. The Matimba is actually a slightly odd example because they split completely. The Majingalan coalition, which dominates the western portions of the Sabi Sand, an area probably about twice the size of the area that the Birminghams have, they do split into 2 and 2, but they very often will come together. And if there's trouble, they roar and they do come together and they support each other in a sort of fight. And that's been seen a number of times. So they do split up eventually and they'll do that sort of thing. So I don't know who's dominating up here and who's spending more time with the Styx Pride and who I think will eventually spend more time down in the south around Mala Mala. I think, 2 prides for the 2 in the coalition is probably about right, and I think you'll find that eventually the Birminghams will dominate 3 or 4 prides if they manage to maintain the territory, because they're still not at their full size yet, They've still got about a year and a half before they reach their full, sort of filled out size. Hello, Joey in Florida. You're wondering about the testosterone levels of male lions, and you say they're almost as high as a human being of 18 years old. I don't know if that's true, Joey. It's quite interesting. Human testosterone levels, a fascinating subject, and I really couldn't tell you. I would suspect that a male lion's proportionately is quite a lot higher. They're that much more aggressive, and I would think especially in the females you'll find that they're definitely that much higher. Now what we're going to think about here is I think Jamie's going to try and see Tingana and Shadow. If she is going to do that, I'm just going to ask Kirsty to confirm. It might be an idea for us to go back to the tree where Karula's kill is. So I think it might be a nice idea for us to go there and see if we can't see the Queen and Shongile and Hosanna. I haven't seen them, everybody, for at least 5 weeks now. So I'm feeling a great sense of FOMO, I suppose, fear of missing out on their growing up. Now, I think if Kirsten McLennan's Smithereens says it would be possible, I think we should head that way. Radio silence. Okay. I don't want to disturb Jamie, though, as well. If Jamie is going to go back to Karula because the mating leopards are being difficult, then we'll let her do that. So we've had rather the pick of things today. Sorry, Kirsty, go again with that. A big what there? Okay, I don't know what's going on, but I think Jamie is going to go back to Karula, so we'll stay here with these lions and see what pans out here. Yeah, they're coming back now, you see, after the little fight. And they're shouting at each other, trying to be brave, just cajoling each other. That's a lovely shot there. And now, again, they'll start to irritate the adults, and then the adults may well have another box at each other. Chandra, have you got consumption? Mike, a nice question from you. Obviously, the flies go onto the meat there, they lay their eggs, and the maggots hatch. And you want to know what happens when... Oh, that's very nice. What happens when the lions... Clearly, they must eat the eggs. Do they hatch in the intestine? No, I don't think so. I think you'll find that the eggs would be destroyed by the acidic stomach contents of the lions. I've no doubt there are various kinds of parasites internally that are able to cope with the acid digestion of a lion's stomach, but I think you'll find that something that has a life cycle ostensibly outside in the open air, I think what you'll find is that the maggots survive on the meat. Right, Jamie has not gone back to Karula. She is with Shadow and Tingana.
We're waiting for Karula to make her way back to the carcass, and we've been attracted by the sound of mating leopards. Karula has only just come back onto Djuma. There are other vehicles with her, but hold on one moment, because in an exciting turn of affairs, right close to where Karula was, we've got Shadow and Tingana mating. It is a hugely difficult area for us to move about in. Where are they? There they are. Sleeping flat. I don't know if it's Shadow. I think it's Shadow. How's your... I know it's not going to be fantastic, but can you just see those spots through there? I'm going to move in a moment. Here's a leopard. The morning of leopards. 3 different leopards, a lion pride on a kill. Possibly now soon 5 different leopards if we include Karula and her cubs. Okay, let's try and get in here. The impenetrable thicket of guari bushes and bush willows and tambuertes, and it's very important that we avoid driving over certain tree species, one of which is the tambuerte trees of this particular area. So we're going to do this really carefully. Hello, leopards. What a lovely surprise. What an amazing morning. Okay, what's going to be best? There's a big fallen log there, and there's a big fallen log there, and there's a big fallen log there. So all in all, it's going well. I think actually our best bet might be to do this. You ready for this, Bebop? You're excited? I'm excited too. This could be very interesting. Where is the other leopard? There she is. All right, everybody hold on to your hats. And other parts of you. As we go through the guari thickets. This is interesting. I feel like an explorer moving through the jungle rather than the African savannah. How are you doing there, Brian? Me and my bright ideas. I don't know if it is Shadow. Oh, she's gonna... There she is. How's your view? Not great. Those are the awesome sound effects that we've been looking for. Look at Tingana. Isn't he magnificent? And I think most of you are on the same page as I am, which is that we were all hoping that it wasn't Shadow. And unfortunately, from that brief glimpse that I had there, I think it is. And we don't know for absolute certain that she has lost her little cub, the little female that we've seen only briefly over the last few months, just a month younger than Karula's 2 cubs. It is a very, very sad situation if she has. So that Shadow's done this before. She went into estrus early with Sindile, where he was still a little bit young for her to be disappearing off for several days at a time. The problem is that he was a little bit older than Shadow's current cub, who at 6 months old is not going to have the same level of resilience. Sindile was able to provide for himself, catch little kills. It's going to be much, much harder for Shadow's female cub if she keeps disappearing like this. It might well be one of the reasons behind Shadow's but lack of success in terms of raising cubs to adulthood, unlike her mother. You can see Tingana casting about. I wonder, Karula must know that they're here. She would have heard them, I can guarantee. As you heard there, it's not exactly a quiet experience, the whole mating process between leopards. This is actually quite a beautiful shot in its own way. We've been so spoiled today. A leopard hidden behind the green leaves. Where are you going, Shadow? She's up. Is she going back towards the male? Yep, here we go again. Might be the trickiest area. There is nothing quite like the spectacle that is leopard's mating as the female does her dance of seduction around him. And as is usual with Tingana, he seems relatively, what would we say, not disinterested, but resigned, I think perhaps is the correct way to describe it. Listen to the sound she's making. Another brief but heated mating session, and with leopards even more so than lions. It is on such a regular basis. It's almost basically 2 minutes, every 2 minutes, particularly on a coolish morning like this morning before the temperature starts to go up and they're too tired to continue that way. I'm really hoping they decide to take this little adventure outside of this particular spot, because at the moment it's very, very difficult. We've just got flashes of spots in amongst the trees, which is beautiful in its own way, but definitely not the clearest view. Tax. Sorry everybody, just chatting quickly on the Game Drive channel. Is Karula back at that bumper?
Yeah, positive. She just arrived now.
Okay, copy, thanks. Yeah, I've got these to Ingwe, but it's a very difficult patch.
Yeah, not most of us. Lots of
Okay. And off she goes. We're going to try and stay with them for a little bit longer. If we manage to get them into a nice open position, then we will stick with them, and then James can head across towards where Karula is with Aubrey and Taxon. If they disappear though, well, we're about 100 meters or so from where Karula has just returned to the kill. The reason that we're not there is that there are already 2 vehicles sitting with her. Oh my goodness, how do we do this? There's a very, very good chance that we could lose these leopards for now. In fact, that might have just happened. Okay, we'll try this side. So as I said, we're playing a very delicate game here. Not playing a delicate game, but we are being very, very careful as we move around here. So driving over the guarri bushes, which are bush encroacher species, the ones that we've gone through here, that's fine. They are encroachers. There's lots of them and they are very springy, as they've just demonstrated. The tamburtis, on the other hand, are trees that I'm going to be very, very careful, and I'll show you a tamburti when I see one. So far we're okay. And our leopard looks like she's moved out further into the open. Where's Tingana gone? They moved through there. And while we... Oh, that's going to slap you, Brian. There you go. And while we negotiate around this tricky spot... Aha, I see you. Switch off, she's coming towards, oh dearie me. Here we go again. There we go. More amazing sound effects. Micah was wondering, while she watches in Hawaii, how it is that the leopards make that interesting sound. Most of the sound effects there are from the male, and it's a very peculiar sound. You'll hear it with the male lions as well. It's almost a whining sound, and all of the fierce growling and roaring that make them sound like this is the most... Oh! She's still cross with him. And of course the reason that she does that is because it's painful for her, so she turns around and reacts angrily at him. He's got a barbed penis, which is a way of inducing ovulation, making sure that she only ovulates and falls pregnant, or doesn't waste an estrus cycle, essentially. So as a solitary animal, there's no guarantee that when a female leopard comes into estrus, she'll find a male. So by making sure that she only actually physically ovulates after mating, make sure that she doesn't waste any of her precious eggs. Also gives a chance for a bigger and better male to come along, although she'd be hard-pressed to find a better-looking male than Tingana.
Is any station with Karula at this stage? Yeah, positive. 3 more of us here. Myself, Aubrey, and Ephraim.
Okay, copy. Can I go on standby 1 there? But there's no rush text, so we can just keep me posted for space there. And one of me or Jamie will come in there. There's really no rush at all, just keep me posted.
And off they go into the distance. Okay, it is going to be very difficult for us to follow them. At one point we are going to have to give up. But we'll keep trying for now, otherwise we'll have a chance to head across. And oh my goodness, there's just so many things happening this morning. This is going to hurt. I don't think I really want to do this. No, I really don't want to do this, but I don't see any alternative. Put my sleeve up over it. Siberia Zumi makes a very good point. Once upon a time, Shadow was actually known as Tingana, which means the shy one, before Tingana moved in as the dominant male of this area. So often what happens is, because leopards have their enormous areas that they move about in, often they move within different traverse areas, different lodges get to see them, and therefore they get different names. And Siberia Zumi is absolutely right. It is a mixture of Tingana and Tingana right now. Oh goodness, Shadow. Bared and their claws outstretched. Right, Tingana and Tingana. Or Tingana and Shadow. What's going to be the best way to try and get round to you? Alright, well it does seem as though, excuse me, James is going to be making his way towards that Karula sighting. So we're going to try and stick with these guys. We're going to try and shift so we've got a more open view. He will have to wait a little bit as there's quite a few vehicles wanting a chance to see those amazing scenes. But we do have exciting prospects for this. Oh, I say exciting prospects. We're already having exciting things happening. Gracious, okay. Now what? Let us. We go left, right, or back? Back is the answer. How are you doing there, Brian? Are you unscathed? Good. I'm thrilled to hear it. Our poor cameramen, of course, are the true heroes of sightings like this as they duck around the trees. I'm with James Richard on this. I'm hoping that Tingana, as James puts it, hasn't realized that Karula has breakfast ready and waiting for him, since James is absolutely spot on, in that mating for leopards is very hungry work, and I'm sure that Karula would prefer to keep her kill to herself and her cubs. How's your view there, Brian? Oh, let me go forward a bit. It's shadow. It's definitely shadow. That's definitely shadow. Oh dear. Hey girl. It's not ideal. We're all keeping our fingers crossed that Shadow's managed to keep her cub. The difficulty is, well, first of all, female leopards, when they lose their cub, come into estrus almost straight away. It is a false estrus. It's not a true estrus, but it does happen almost immediately. But more worrying is that she's going to spend 5 days doing this. Some residual growling, like a sort of a Harley Davidson engine slowly turning over. Hey, gorgeous boy. Right. Okay, everybody. Grit your teeth and steel your nerves. We're going to reposition one last time, and hopefully this will be a successful moment. I think the best thing to do here, since we do have mating leopards, is for James to make his way towards Karula and the cubs. We'll have a chance this afternoon to go and see them. I just want to go see them. Been looking forward to watching them clamber over that tree. Alright, one more reposition. We have got some incredible scenes here. I can't believe I'm having to choose between a female leopard with cubs in a tree and mating leopards. It's ridiculous. This is starting to get ridiculous, Brian. Hello, girl. Yeah, I think we'll send James back to Karula, as deeply as that makes me want to sob softly into my sleeve, because I was really looking forward to seeing those cubs gambling up the tree. But we've got an extraordinary view that we just can't pass up, and there's no guarantee that we will find this pair again. They're very close to our boundary. So we will stick with them for now and wait for James to head to Karula. Well, one of the things that we've seen over the last few weeks has been the way in which aggressive incidents with the big cats escalate. I'm talking, of course, in terms of our lions and the scraps that they've had with the females and the males. But Jason was wondering if a leopard scuffle like this could escalate into a serious fight. It's very rare, but it can happen. So what sometimes happens with animals is they get, and people, I guess, it triggers that survival instinct, and they live so on the edge of their instincts that sometimes the instincts get a bit mixed up. It's one of the reasons why the Birmingham boys killed a couple of females when they first took over, with that testosterone-driven aggression that they were demonstrating, and was all part of their successful takeover. It spilled over into their interactions with other creatures as well, and it's possible to have that happen with leopards. I've never seen it in a major way. What sometimes happens, which we have seen happen before, is leopards get their dew claws or their claws stuck in the skin of each other, and then it escalates slightly, because now, for example, if the female's trapped or the male's trapped, they get very, very cross and uncomfortable. They blame the other leopard for it, and the other leopard gets defensive. So it's not uncommon to see leopards walk away from a mating session of about 5 days with cuts and rips and a bit of a limp maybe every now and again, and definitely looking ever so slightly the worse for the wear for their amorous encounters. No leopard comes out unscathed, certainly. And Mobile Paddy, who is quick to affirm that they are asking for a friend. Mobile Paddy, good morning and welcome to the Sunrise Safari, wants to know whether or not the male leopard ejaculates every time that he mates. There's a peak sort of period of ejaculation, so as you can imagine, the initial mating stages when she's not ovulating, it would be a little bit of a waste of an important bodily resource for the male. So he only really ejaculates very tiny amounts, if at all, in the beginning. And then towards the middle, that starts to increase, because that, of course, is when the greatest chance of fertilization is going to occur. And then it sort of slowly peters out towards the end, as his body has to keep replenishing his supply. Which, as you can imagine, if a leopard mates every couple of minutes, how many times have they mated while we've been here? 5? While Brian and I have been here? In the last 15, 20 minutes or so. It's roughly every 2 to 4 to 5 minutes, depending on the temperature of the day. You do the math. Okay, now I'll do the math. I was trying to avoid that, but I'll do the math quickly. Okay, let's roughly put it at, let's not exaggerate. Let's say they mate every 10 minutes. That's 6 times an hour. 6 times an hour, 6 times 24 is 120, 140 odd, 150 odd. I'm rounding up, okay? My mental maths at this time in the morning just after holidays isn't fantastic. So 150 times a day times 5 days, you're looking at close to or over 500 mating sessions. And even if he only ejaculates out a little bit each time, it's quite an impressive impact that it has on his body. But as you may have noticed, when male leopards, or male cats actually, and dogs, they seem to have an replenishing supply of urine. If you've ever watched them go and spray and mark their territory, which I have to tell you is something I've always marveled at. I think it's quite impressive the way that they're able to continue to mark and urine spray bushes despite the fact that it's now the 20th bush in a row. I'm sure it's something similar, although a slightly lengthier process. Oh, they've exhausted each other. I know that James will be eagerly anticipating heading towards Karula. Let's find out how he is going on his journey.
Well, what a morning we've had. We've left those lionesses because they went into some very thick bush, and well, we thought about trying to get through the drainage line, see if we could see the cubs lying in the dappled shade of the Tambuti Grove, but unfortunately that was not possible because, well, we don't have a bulldozer. We have Rusty, and she's a temperamental old bag, she is. So we didn't do that, and we're now heading towards Karula because Jamie has found the mating leopards, and I was just saying to Jean-Andre how I'm continually amazed at how as human beings, and I mean I'm exactly the same, no different here, but as human beings we rush when an animal is mating, we rush to go and look at it, we think it's the most fascinating thing, which it is. But of course, with human beings, it's the most intimate and private thing that could ever happen. And so it's quite the opposite. And yet with any other animal, we have this absolute fascination. I think that's rather amusing. I'm exactly the same. Now, we're probably about, I would say, I don't know, no, nothing's very far away on Djuma. We're probably about 5 or so minutes away from Karula. And we'll see what else we can see as we go. But, you know, the heat has now started to build, and I was talking about the vultures a little bit earlier, and how I don't think that there are that many around. And I look at the skies around me now, and I see 1 or 2 every so often in the distance, but there isn't much going on in the way of vultures around here. And in the Mara, so much dies there, you know, there's so many animals there, that many things just die of causes other than lions' teeth or cheetah's claws. And it means that there are little pockets of vultures all over, everywhere you look. There are little pockets of vultures feeding on the ground or sitting in the trees. Not great big swathes of vultures like you get on some of the kills around here, but just little pockets because there's so much to eat. And I also wonder if the reduction in vultures that we have around here is perhaps a result of the fact that around the mountains they do keep what we call vulture restaurants. So they're various sort of tourism operations, and in order to attract tourists, I suppose, what they do is they attract vultures. So they'll go and find some roadkill, or perhaps a hapless donkey that has been sold off by its owner, and what they'll do is sort of put it at this viewpoint, and then the vultures will come in and eat there. And I think there are a few of those around the mountains towards Hoedspruit and perhaps a bit further north of that. And what that means is that many of the vultures have probably become a resident outside of the park rather than inside, because there's just an easy meal always on offer. It's probably also got to have some effect on what I perceive to be a smaller number of vultures. Massively important part of the ecology out here. Right, we're now approaching the valley of the great Mlwamati. And there we are. You see it, Jean-Ray? Great swirling torrent of water crashing down from the north. Now, of course, we are expecting a deluge this year. La Niña is apparently forming to the south of us, and so we're expecting quite a lot of rain later on this year, and it would be quite a pleasure to see this drainage line flow briefly. I think it would be astounding. I wonder if it will happen. Righty. Ooh. This is very nice. Hello, Michael. You say you'd like for us to go and have a look at the hyena dens because about a week ago you saw a female with very clear suckle marks. Michael, I think that's a great idea. It's definitely worth going to do. And so, yeah, we can certainly do that. Maybe we should start. I don't know if Jamie or Brent went, well, Jamie just got back. I don't know if Steph or Brent went towards any of the hyena dens in the last week or so. I went just before I went off to Kenya, and so I'm happy to do it again. Let's go and check the Mvubu one perhaps a little bit later today, because that would make sense, and that is often seems to be the den site to which lower ranking females go first before they join up with the rest of the clan. So yeah, definitely, Michael, we can certainly do that, and thank you for that information. Right, not too far yet. Just going to find out exactly where these leopards were. I don't seem to be able to be hearing too well. Ah, there we go. My earpiece wasn't in. Funny how that helps, you know. Right, Let's go back to Tingana and Shadow, find out what they're doing, and I'll find out where Karula is.
And for now, it seems as though our mating pair have exhausted themselves and are just taking the opportunity to enjoy the morning light.
How long is that animal? Or
I'm just thinking about Shadow and her cub. I really, really hope that little one is still alive and well. I really liked her. She had such a character. And the last time I saw her, she was snarling at Shadow to protect her monkey kill. It's possible, Maxine. Leopards' desses do this. So Maxine's question is it possible she's mating to protect her cub, to distract a male? Now, of course, this is Tingana, who is dominant in this area, and he would be one of the potential fathers, but female leopards are known for their promiscuity, so to speak, as a way of protecting the livelihoods of their cubs, and they do demonstrate false estrus after they've had cubs. I know that there are reports and articles of leopards mating almost straight after giving birth, and we've also seen the lionesses do it relatively recently. So obviously the hormones, the lactation hormones and so on plays a role, but it's usually straight after the birth of the cub, not 6 months into their lives. And I think it's more likely that, oh, there we go again. Once again, just the sort of growling purr of Shadow. And they keep deciding that the guarri bushes will give them some privacy, screening them from the whole process, or screening us from the whole process. And both cats have gone straight back to sleep. I think it's likely that Shadow's body naturally takes her back into an estrus cycle sooner than it should. I mean, I've got no evidence for that, except for the fact that it's now 2 years in a row that we've seen her mating earlier than might otherwise be the case for, and I say this relatively carefully, a normal leopard. But nothing's normal, of course. Each and every individual has their own idiosyncrasies. But I do wonder whether or not that hasn't played a role in her lack of success. Or we could be being completely unfair to Shadow. She might have lost her cub in a different way. It's so difficult being a female leopard all on your own, raising a cub with so many different threats out there. It could even have been Salaeshe moving into her territory that caused the loss of her cub. But then again, we don't know. We're keeping our fingers crossed, but we don't know. Right. Thanks, guys. You found yourselves in the perfect position. And before we reposition, let's quickly answer Mike's question. Watching in Hawaii and hopefully enjoying our big cat spectacle this morning. And she wants to know, after the mating process, because of course the leopards are terribly distracted, would they go and hunt after their mating sessions together, or will they go their separate ways? They generally go their separate ways and move off in opposite directions, usually with, I feel like, a great deal of relief, although I might just be projecting emotions on them. Leopards don't seem to enjoy their time together. They much prefer being solitary and hidden away. However, there are cases of mating leopards hunting together during their mating session. You know, if something wandered in through here, there's always a chance that they would go for it and then share the kill. The hunger prerogative is almost as strong as the mating one. So they would hunt if there is the opportunity. I've heard of a mating leopard pair sharing a giraffe kill before, which must have been extraordinary. That is not something I've ever witnessed. So it is possible, but it's relatively unusual. Let's reposition, because right now we've got spots through trees, and I think I see a relatively easy way of scuffling around here. By the way, talking about tambuti trees, those two little trees in front of me are tiny baby tambutis. So those are the sort of things that we're avoiding whenever we're off-roading. Okay. Standing by.
Hi, Jamie. I was driving along the fire break towards the temple. Which side you are close to Garmin?
Orbs, we're basically halfway between Triple M and Zoe's, probably more towards, a little bit closer to Zoe's.
Okay, copy. I'll go around again.
I've got your audio. Keep coming a bit further to the east of where you are. And you should see my tracks going off the road to the north from there. There we go. Isn't that beautiful? A lovely Shadow and Tingana, and giving us a really incredible view of the comparison in size between a male and a female leopard. It's not something we always get to see, but the sexual dimorphism is actually enormous. Shadow is roughly half the size and weight of Tingana. Maybe just a little bit more, but hardly. She probably weighs somewhere in the region of about... Oh, here we go again. Tingana's adopting the if I don't move and pretend I'm asleep, she'll forget about it approach. She's going to mate with him one more time. They're beautiful. He's trying to pretend she's not there, but we know the female. The dramatic scenes of a leopard mating. Alright, well it is spots galore, so while our leopards sleep off their activities, let's jump on board with James and see whether or not he's got more spots to show you.
Look, everybody. It's been so long. You know, the last time I saw them, these little things were on a road called Elephant Carcass. They were on their own for a long time, for a few days. That was a good 5 or 6 weeks ago. So this in the tree is Hosana, the young male. And then just below him, on the ground, resting not too far from us, Her Ladyship. Oh dear. Look at that. Look, look. Going up the tree. This is fantastic. Oh, this is brilliant. The world's slowest wildlife photographer. How cool was that, everyone? So Karula taking the last piece of meat there. Well, as they want, why shouldn't she? Mom must eat. There she is with her little piece of leg dropped by her son. Silly little fellow. There, he's got a little bit more sinew now. Would you like some sinew for breakfast? Chandra? Nothing like a bit of sinew for breakfast.
Great vegetarian option.
Mmm. That was just fantastic to see. Gee whiz. Karula in front of us now moving with her leg. Obviously seeking out a little bit of privacy. Oh, she's going to hoist this. No, surely not. She looked like she was going to put it in that dead tree. Let's just sit here for a little while and see if she doesn't pop her head out the other side, otherwise we'll move around. She is going to hoist it. How cool is that? No, not so much. Not a good spot to go. That's brilliant. Now, I know it's difficult to know where to look in a sighting like this, but little Shongile is clearly a bit irritated by her brother and the fact that he is sitting there munching away. She's hungry. And she just keeps looking up towards Hoshana, her brother. There we go. So sweet. Sally in Oregon, you want to know why I think that she hesitated to go up there? I think she hesitated, Sally, because she realized it was going to be a spiky and uncomfortable thing. I think she just thought she'd try it anyway, and then thought this is ridiculous and hopped back down into the comfort of the soft leaf litter. It's so very sweet. Wonderful. Right, let's just sit here for just slightly longer, and then what we'll do is move around to the other side. Now asleep. Well, not quite. She's definitely hungry, you know. She wants to go up there. But she's just a little bit reticent. Chandra, shall we try the other side? Are you happy here?
Sorry, it's going to be a bit harsh backlit.
No, I mean just sort of 90 degrees round.
Okay.
Let's try it, everyone. I'm just not quite satisfied with where we're sitting. So while we're here, let's go across to the aunt of these two and their father. That's how it works with Leopard Society.
Their aunt is currently consorting with the father, potentially, of Karula's cubs, as James said. It is a small world in leopard families and leopard genetics. I do have to move from where we are now because poor Aubrey hasn't got a view. I'm just going to wait for them to mate, and then we'll shift around so that we don't ruin the sound. Okay, we can. Let's move quickly. Okay, we're not going to have the best view, but Aubrey has just joined us, so we have to be relatively fair in the way that we share out the ability to see in this particular sighting. We've had some extraordinary views. That was quite an impressive one. Got her by the back of the throat, which they'd usually do to stop the female lashing out at them straight away, but he didn't let go. So he actually dragged her back with him when he pulled away from her. And then rolling onto her back, as all big cats do. It's part of what's known as the lordosis reflex. She's given us a clear demonstration of. Lions and leopards do it, and it's thought to help aid fertilization. They're usually quite enthusiastic about it in the beginning, and then towards the end they stop demonstrating that particular rolling over onto their back behavior. Awesome. The sound effects of leopards mating it's just unbeatable. It's more dramatic, I think, than lions mating, in my opinion. There's a little bit more in the way of scrappiness between the two of them. It's just incredible to witness. And we've been treated to some fantastic views, and hopefully these two will decide to stick around for the sunset safari. We can try and beat yesterday's drive, which was, what did we calculate it as? 26 different big cats, including little cubs. Must have been somewhere close. 7 sticks cubs, 3 sticks adults, that's 10, plus 1 is 11, plus 13 Nkuhumas is 24. Plus 2 leopards. It's 26, yeah. It's 26 big cats yesterday afternoon on the sunset safari. And we're not doing too badly this afternoon. And a fantastic morning's viewing of the different leopards of Djuma. I don't want to keep you away from Karula and her wonderful little cubs for too long. And let's head back across to James.
He's a youngster. Hello again, everyone. We've moved slightly. You can see a lovely, lovely view now of the little chief, Hosanna, and the kill made by his extremely adept mother. That is an adult male, or an adult impala. I don't think it's a male, probably a female. Can you see any horns there? All I can see is a bit of liver sticking out. Very, very rich source of nutrients, the liver, everybody. So if you happen to be a leopard, it's a good piece of food to get, because it's not just protein, it's quite fatty. It's got some good stuff in it. And all the while, the little sister looks up, hopefully. Now, as I've said before, and I know I've been fairly harshly contradicted by one or two viewers, which is absolutely fine. I don't think that I've never seen them feed together for very long. Yes, sometimes they feed a little bit together, but normally it's one or the other. And I think that goes along with the fact that they don't do an enormous amount of playing with each other. Nothing like the lion cubs do. And that's simply a function of the fact that they are leopards, which means that they're going to be totally solitary for most of their lives. A lovely blue sky above. Oh, look! What do you think she's going to do, Gendry? Do you think she's going to brave it or wait for him to get so full that he can't hold himself in the tree anymore? His belly is very full. You can see it there sticking out behind his left back leg. And he's got very sweet little legs and tail hanging out there. They go up so fast, you know, Gendry. And Gendry, just quickly, sorry, there's a batelier coming in the same way that it did earlier. Look at it, flying right over the top, the same way that it did with the lion kill. Definitely seen that piece of meat there will think about maybe having some, but I don't think it's going to be able to get anything from this kill. Unsurprisingly, Gendre, I didn't get a photograph of that bateleur.
Very unlikely.
That is, isn't it? See how the bateleur would love to come in here and have a bite, but it realizes with 3 leopards eating here, highly unlikely. Gendre was just saying to me, wouldn't it be nice if we had Big Cat Week during the winter time? He's absolutely right, of course. Big Cat Week is in February, and we don't get anything like the views of the cats we do in the winter because there's just so much greenery around.
Got a photo yet, James?
Of what? Of the leopard?
The bateleur.
No, not with this lens and my skill. There is a hooded vulture also floating above, if you want it, Chandra. There we are. It's that small pixel up there. There you are. Well done. The leopards haven't moved, everyone, don't worry. Fear not. And it's come in for exactly the same reason that the same 2 species of bird arrived at the lion kill. And of course I have the ability to look both ways because I can see what Gendre is filming, and I can see the little leopard in the tree who was watching exactly what we've been watching. He noticed the vulture coming in. Carol, nice question from you. You say, why is he always first at the kills? I'm not sure that he is, Carol. I think it's just that when we got here he was eating. It's quite possible that she ate a little bit before he did. When you say, is it a male-orientated world? In the animal kingdom, it's a size-orientated world entirely, Carol. So it's just got to do with the size that these animals have. So he's now probably starting to get a little bit bigger than her, which means yes, he probably will start to feed more often than not before her, because he'll just box her off the kills. Oh yes, very nice, Andre. Ooh, he's got seems to have a bit of stomach contents there. He might be doing some bokdrol spoeg not too long from now. Quite astounding sighting. Does make one excited for breakfast, don't you find, Andre? Perhaps not for what he's eating there. I think he's there. You see, he's just opened up the stomach contents there. That's the rumen. So that's the undigested plant material that would have been stuck in the stomach, and he won't eat that, but he will eat the intestine from which it's come, because it is very nutritious as well. We had a great question yesterday about how it is that a carnivore manages to get sufficient nutrients given that they only eat meat. And here you can see, well, yes, it is animal product, but it is varied. In this case, he's eating the intestines, he's got the liver and the kidneys and the heart and the lungs, and eventually, I guess, his mother will crack open the head like a walnut and enjoy the brain, all of which contains various bits and pieces of nutrition crucial to the healthy survival of 2 little leopard cubs and their royal mother. Hello, Andrew in Vermont. Common query about cats, big cats out here. You say, thank you, Jean-Ray. Do leopards get hairballs? Yes, I've definitely seen leopards get hairballs, absolutely. They do. They lick the carcasses of the animals they catch in order to swallow the hair, which I think helps line the digestive system. So in the same way that they eat grass sometimes for a bit of roughage, I think what you'll find is that they lick the hair to clean it off the skin to a certain extent, but also to swallow some. But inevitably they're going to get too much in, and they will eventually have to cough it up. I don't know how much hair they get from their own cleaning, which is of course where a house cat gets a hairball, but I imagine there is some, but I've certainly seen leopards coughing up hairballs before. He ain't going nowhere, that leopard, is he? His sister, she just keeps looking up, hoping desperately for a gap. Much more well-mannered than her brother. We've got a little bit of time left. I think we're going to sit here for a little while, and then we'll try one last reposition and get a nicer view of Shongile on the ground. She's lying very carefully in the shade, waiting patiently her turn. Okay, let's go back to Jamie and find out if Shadow and Tingana have managed to make some cousins for these two little things.
Well, hopefully not. I'm still really hoping that perhaps the cousin is still alive and well. Oh, dearie me. We've lost me completely. Is it back now? Okay. Right. No moving, Jamie. Stay absolutely still. Okay, no, we can't stay absolutely still. Kirsty says it's still soft. I'm going to take this mic. I'm going to do something similar to what Lou did yesterday with TriCaster, according to James, which was attack it with a big hammer. I don't need a big hammer for this microphone, just a little one. But there we go. Our leopards are still resting in the shade, taking a break from their cub-making activities. Although, as I said, I'm really truly hoping that that is not going to be the case now. Unfortunately, it's not looking good, is it? And this is now the second time that Shadow's been mating with Tingana. Because as far as I know, she was seen mating while I was on leave as well, 10 days or so ago. So some interesting things happening in the world of our leopard dynamics. Now, just to give you a rough idea of how close we are, Kirsty was giving me an update on the fact that there was a batalier soaring around Karula's kill. We could see it at that point. It flew right over our heads. So we are probably, I would guess that and say, what's that, 200 meters or so? I can almost, in fact I can, from my angle, not from Brian's angle, I can see the tree where the kill is. It's, Brian, you won't be able to, there's a very large berry bush in front of it. So that's how close we are. It'll be very interesting to see. Karula must know. I think it's back on that side. Just out of your reach. I'm pretty sure that Karula knows these two are here. She must do. Her hearing's more sensitive than ours, and they're not exactly subtle about during their current activities. So we're probably about 100, no, that's an exaggeration. We're about 300 meters away, 300 yards away from Karula and her kill where James is sitting now. So not far at all. The question is, does Tingana know that she's there? I don't think so. I think otherwise he would have been making a beeline straight in that direction. And what kind of interesting dynamics would we see at play this afternoon on the sunset safari? Will these two be too wrapped up in each other to realize that a meal is just a few hundred meters away? Or will they discover it, and what will Karula do then? What will Shadow do then? It'll be very, very interesting dynamics playing out. You'll have to wait until the sunset safari, because I don't think... Oh, hold on. There's a duiker. It's coming straight towards us. He's in front of us here, Brian. I don't think he's realized. You might not be able to see him just yet. He's just through there. Let's have a look, see if you can see movement. He stopped and froze. He's seen us, but not the leopards. There, you can just see his nose peeking in the middle of your screen. Those of you with keen eyes. There he is. Ah. Good choice, little... Good choice, little Dacre. Dashing off in the opposite direction. I wonder if he realizes how close he came to being a quick snack for our lovely leopards. This is what we spoke about earlier, the fact that if something did happen to wander into their midst, hapless and unsuspecting, they would immediately seize upon the opportunity to grab it. I think that Dacre made a very sensible decision today, going off in the opposite direction. Perhaps his eyesight was keener than I thought, but I don't think so. I think it just decided that it wouldn't want to go through that thick area anyway. And now as the temperature starts to heat up, the frequency of their mating has slowed down, and they haven't mated since we last saw them a couple of minutes ago. I think that things are dying down for now. The sunny and warm weather has the effect of dampening their romantic mood. Now while they snooze away in the safety and shade of a tambuti thicket, let's jump across 300 meters or so to the east of us to where James is sitting with Karula.
Slight development here, everybody. Hosanna dropped a piece of stomach or something from the... Excuse me. I can't speak. Something stuck in my throat. Okay, right. This development was that he dropped a piece of stomach or something onto the ground, and Shongile didn't even respond. She just got up to go and see if she could get a piece of leg that her mother was eating. And then Karula got up, left her leg, went to the stomach, and Shongile went to where she is now, eating the little piece of leg, and now she's very happy. Oh, there we go. Something else has been dropped. I think he's going to drop the whole thing very shortly. Hello, the Snapple attack. You want to know what a leopard does in the case of living in an open area, perhaps like the Mara. What do they do if they kill something on an open plain? Do they drag it until they find a tree, or do they just eat it there? No, they'll often just eat it there. They'll often eat on the ground, and certainly in the case of Shadow, she almost never kills up a tree. And so you'll find that if there is a convenient tree, and especially in the presence of other predators, then they will drag it up. But you know, in a very open area, you won't really find leopards. They will normally be on the fringes of an open area near the trees. Let's go up to the top there, Jean-Ray. Hosanna is moving around the place. Whoa! Did you get that? That was so cool. Now, let's watch what happens. I think he's going to come down. I think he's bored. Come on, don't go down that way. Come down this way. Come on. Come down this way for us. And his sister is now waiting. It was the entire stomach. Sorry, Karula's now walking off with the entire stomach there. She's put it down into that hole where she and Shongile have been feeding. And Shongile now underneath, hoping her brother's going to come out of the tree. Come on, look this way. That's it. Thank you. No, missed it. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? I am the world's slowest photographer ever. We've only got 2 minutes left, but we may just extend a little bit to see what plays out here. But I think we will definitely come back here, obviously, this afternoon and spend some more time with them. I don't think they're going anywhere. Unless this rather careless fellow manages to drop his kill. I got a photograph, Andre.
Hey, well done, James.
So we're just getting word from the final control as the smell of the innards of an impala waft over us. We'll just extend a little bit, everyone, and see what happens. Here he goes. Here he comes. I'm just keeping an eye on her. Let's just keep an eye on her. The little leopardess on the ground. She hasn't moved. She's still waiting, watching patiently. I think he wants to come down, but I think he's a little bit scared. He's looking at his sister now. Here he comes. Well done. Very inelegant, but well done. You're down. Well done. Let's just wait 1 second and see what she does. I think if he takes 2 steps from the tree, she's going to go up. Look how he totally ignores her. Now watch. Let's see if she goes up. He's now investigating his mother's food, saying hi to his mum, and now here she goes. It's not an easy tree to get up, you know. I think she's reticent to try and climb it. You know, she tried when we first got in here, and it was very difficult for her. Here we go. Come on, little girl. Up you go. She's squealing. She's just making a little squealing sound. There we go. Come on. Go for it. There we go. Well done. Here you go. And mother doing a little bit of chuffing. She's going, "Cough, cough." There we go. There we go. Come on. There you are. That's it. Don't fall now. Oh, that's high. It's difficult, hey? It's not easy for her because you're going to have to stand. There we are. Now she'll eat. Oh, the balance is unbelievable. There we go. Alright everybody, while Shongile has her breakfast, we'll come back this afternoon. A big thank you to all of you for having or spending the time with us. It's been great to be with you. Thank you, Jeandre, for your efforts. Thank you, Kirsten, in the final control with, I think it was Louise this morning. Lovely to have Louise there. I'm not sure why I said that, but it still was nice. And we'll see you this afternoon. Stay safe and happy wherever you happen to be, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.